This marks the launch of WiMCast, World's Mobile Casts, brought to you by Mobile Monday Malta, where basically our first interviewee is Rick Ferraro, an expert on LBS and the vice president with Golden Gecko. Well, I think the best person to speak about Rick Ferraro is Rick Ferraro himself. So can you tell us a bit who Rick Ferraro is and what brought you to this position as vice president of Golden Gecko?
Yes, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on this vidcast. So yes, I developed an interest in mobile actually thanks to Mobile Monday several years ago when I started attending the meetings here locally in Barcelona. I've always been a bit of a gadget freak, so with a big interest in technology. So mobile was particularly fascinating when I came into it around 5 years ago because of the pace of change that was happening. And I could see that it was rapidly becoming even more important than the web. So slowly that's proven to be the case. Now, I kicked off my career in mobile in the GSM Association, where I was director, involved in a number of different projects. And also afterwards I moved on to head up a startup called GeoMe, which was a location-based service with a very global perspective. And we were experimenting with something which today, I guess, Foursquare and companies like Foursquare have developed. So we were really at the edge of innovation at that time. Following that experience, I joined Golden Gecko, and currently I'm involved in developing a whole new product area, which is called Modiso, where we're looking to help Yellow Page and directory businesses worldwide make the most of the mobile channel.
Oh, so but can you elaborate a bit on that on this particular product line that you're working on right now that is specifically aimed at directories to help them monetize their mobile channel better? What is it about?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting time in the business directory and Yellow Page industry because there has been, to a large degree, a substitution of the traditional print media with electronic or digital media. So this has happened over the last 5 years, so it's still relatively new. But what we're seeing now is with the dramatic increase in the use of smartphones, that there is more and more demand from consumers to access local search on their mobile device. So this has become a realization as well on the part of the Yellow Page businesses that they have to move to make sure that they actually stay current. And a number of these operators, particularly in Europe, are finding that mobile now accounts between 10 and 17% of their whole digital traffic. So it's already significant and growing incredibly fast. It's the fastest growth overall that they're experiencing. So what we're doing now with Modiso is really developing a solution which Yellow Page businesses can take on board relatively quickly and be ready to deploy on the mobile channel through both local search, mapping, POI search, and plenty of other services, including augmented reality as well.
Perfect. Just to go a bit in terms of Mobile Monday and your relationship with Mobile Monday, I believe that you were one of the persons that was responsible for a strategic partnership between GSMA and Mobile Monday Global. Would you tell us a bit about that? Because that's very interesting for us too.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things I did when I was at the GSM Association was chair up a committee to foster technology innovation and to showcase new startups at the event, the Mobile World Congress, which is once yearly event here in Barcelona. So as part of that, I thought there was enormous potential for Mobile Monday to contribute more because there's so many great startups who attend and participate in Mobile Monday events and the Mobile Monday network worldwide. And that opportunity wasn't really being captured. So I put together a draft sort of cooperation agreement between Mobile Monday and the GSMA, and particularly to encourage some of the smaller companies, perhaps without the huge budgets, to participate and have discounted rates for the participation, or even better, to come in for free at the Mobile World Congress. And so tell the world about the great innovation and the great plans for developing the services.
Absolutely. I mean, kind of that also justifies the importance of Mobile Monday in terms of how it enables entrepreneurs to actually connect with the big dinosaurs of the industry, the big guys of the industry that meet yearly at the GSMA Mobile World Congress. Kind of that offered a big window of opportunity for the small guys too.
That's right. I think that's one of the great sort of competitive advantages of Mobile Monday in that it really is a phenomenal bridge to connect some of the very small, innovative startups with some of the big established players in the industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, going back to the event that we're going to have on the 4th of October relating to location-based services, and obviously you're going to speak at the event, in terms of location-based services and entrepreneurship. That's your specialty, what are the basic steps, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities in location-based services for entrepreneurs that they can take hold of. Would you kind of elaborate a bit on this particular area? And also, I believe that your book is a very deep study about this process. I mean, would you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, I think location is a very exciting sort of development in terms of the next steps of what we call Web 2.0. And we're seeing actually some of the established players on the web now embedding location within the core service. I mean, look at location being used by Twitter. Facebook as well is using location. So we're seeing some very significant moves now and significant change. And I think we're particularly at a moment of inflection where we are moving on from perhaps talking about location-based services to talking about location everywhere. Because I truly believe location will be embedded in all the services available because it's such a core component of how you use a lot of the web services, particularly the ones you want to use on the go. So I think there's enormous opportunity for entrepreneurs to really develop some innovative ways in which they can capture location data and use that both to deliver great services to the consumer, but also to allow some very targeted mobile marketing to take place. And we're seeing a number of initiatives, which are some examples which I'm going to talk about during my presentation in Malta. But definitely we're seeing an increase in the sort of the scale of the take-up of these kind of services, both in terms of, as you mentioned earlier, mobile coupons embedded in location-type services on mobile, but also in terms of how some companies are really beginning to capture the value and actually unlock the value which is contained within location data. And those companies which are able to use this information about where mobile users go and what their shopping habits are, of course, all duly anonymized. But those companies that can unlock this data and use that to help companies deliver the message and deliver the marketing in a more targeted way, I think are going to really get onto something which is going to be very significant, both in terms of revenue, I think in terms of profits as well.
Touching upon, obviously, your talk with Mobile Monday Malta on the 4th of October, I mean, what are you expecting from such a small place? What are you expecting from the audience of Mobile Monday Malta?
So I think it's going to be a great learning experience for me because I've never been to Malta before. I understand that the market is, in terms of size, obviously it's not as big as some of the larger nations in Europe. But I think there's a very great mix of entrepreneurs and companies who are looking to, I think, kind of come up to ways in which they can develop a challenging proposition for a local market which still is able to deliver sustainable revenues over time. So my expectation is that there's going to be a lot of interest in different ways that can be used to address a very local market, how perhaps you can address that in an economical way and do it rather quickly without developing some very expensive overheads. So there are certain strategies that are available, and we see that actually also in other countries in Europe. For example, there are companies in Europe that are copying some of the strategies in the US and learning from some of the innovation in the US. And I think that's a real option as well in Malta. There's a lot of learning that can be applied. If you can cut the learning curve and you can get your product faster to the market for less cost, I think that can be one of the ways in which you can answer the issues of having a very small market.
And also something that definitely would be interesting to talk about, I believe, is like the question that technology enables scale today. And coming from a small place is definitely not a barrier for them to actually go international if the product is good enough. And that's something that definitely would come in terms of like the experience you have from Spain, which is obviously a Mediterranean country like us. So what are the barriers of a Mediterranean company like to go international? And what are the similarities from your experience to do that?
Yeah, I think actually you're right. I don't think in today's world that the fact of coming from a small country, perhaps geographically distant from other places, is necessarily such a big barrier. And I think actually the biggest barrier probably is within the entrepreneur's mind, and that can be overcome. We've seen a lot of examples of small startups in Europe being very successful in terms of what they do, and also eventually being acquired by some of the larger corporations, either other corporations in Europe or corporations in the US. One example from Spain that I can mention is Panoramio, which was acquired as well, I believe, by Google. And even though it was based here in Spain and had a very local market, its technology was applicable globally, and thus it made a very good acquisition target. And I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity for Maltese entrepreneurs and investors to do something very similar in the future.
Yeah, I mean, having a case study, having a success story, definitely kind of entices the entrepreneur to believe that this is something possible. And the closer the case study is to the market, the more obviously convincing that case study becomes, and actually opening up the perspectives of the entrepreneurs. Just to close up, obviously we would like to thank you for offering all those that will be attending the Mobile Monday event on the 4th of October 40% discount on your book. We have a link on our website, momomalta.org, so thank you for that. And just as a small comment for closing, your personal invitation to all the people that are consuming this podcast before the event.
Yeah, so I invite everyone to come and join in at the Momo Malta event. It will be a pleasure to meet people and to share ideas. Definitely, I would like to make as interactive as possible. So I'd be very excited to share some of the findings I've come across through building up some of the work that's going into my book. I think there's definitely some good learning points, both in terms of my personal experience in working in a startup, and also by looking at what's happening globally that will be relevant for some of the people attending in Malta. So I think it would be a great opportunity to learn from that and look at location, but also look at some of the wider issues which are relevant for mobile in terms of particularly how applications can be developed, marketed, and sold effectively.
Thank you very much, Rick. And obviously, we shall be seeing you on the 4th of October with our Maltese Mobile Monday audience. Thank you very much, and see you very soon.
Look forward to seeing you. Thank you.